Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. I have Gibbo here with me again. We're going to look forward to the second leg of Newcastle United's Champions League playoff round tie with Qarabag. Of course, the Magpies firmly in control of this one, 6-1 ahead from the away leg. That Anthony Gordon 4-goal blast, Malik Chiao and Jacob Murphy with the other goals. Gibbo, how are you doing? Good weekend?
Yes. Despite the result of Manchester City, I thought we played well and we could hold our head up high. It wasn't a slaughter or humiliation or the awful things that we've had not so long ago. They did well and they were unlucky, and so I'm good. And we're coming into a lot of home games now, which gives us the chance to get the momentum going again. So, yeah, I'm good. My pint pot's half full.
We will look back at City at that game. And I always say this, I'm always really wary of talking about Newcastle like they're a junior team and saying, well, they did better. They were better than they have been. But it is true that, it's City. They've gone there. They've given City a game. And one thing that struck me after the game was the celebrations from the Manchester City players, fans, and Guardiola himself. Tells you everything. Tells you everything about the fact Newcastle tested them more than they have done.
Oh, I mean, when you look at that second half, okay, in the first half, you can talk about the goals conceded and et cetera, et cetera. But that second half, we were continuously on the offensive. I mean, we forced them, the home team and Man City, with all their great players, we forced them to play on the counter. We were supposed to be the side playing on the counter. We forced them to play on the counter, which is saying an awful lot. And they were grateful for the final whistle, believe me. I mean, Haaland played centre half the time and did very well at centre half. And he may as well play centre half against us because he can't score against us, so he may as well play centre half. But I'm being flipped, but it was seriously. He did defensive work very, very, very well, and it was necessary. That was a defeat where you can hold your head high and just be a little disappointed and a little frustrated that we didn't convert something along the way. But having had 3 successive away wins back to back in that performance bodes well. We're not quite back to where we were, but we're not far away.
We're not. And I think when it's funny because you mentioned the Haaland defensive stuff, kind of remind me a bit Alan Shearer doing that quite a bit during his time at Newcastle. He was one of our best defenders at one point, I think. But I think that the big thing I took from the game as well was the fact that it was. It kind of maintained a little bit of momentum because I felt as if we'd gone to City and been, battered 3 or 4 or 5, then the momentum from Qarabag, the momentum from Spurs and Villa would have been hampered a little bit, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We came out of it, apart from the loss of points, which is huge, but I was about to say we come out of it unscathed, and we did. Of course, we didn't. We lost 3 points, but we did in terms of reputation. We did in terms of morale and confidence going into not just Qarabag, because for goodness sake, what sides you're going to put out, and how on earth could we not get through 6-1 up and at home? But forgetting that, going on to Everton, going on to Manchester United, going on to Manchester City yet again in the FA Cup. And by the way, I've got hope that in the FA Cup up here, we'll beat them because we showed enough down there, etc., etc. We've beaten them up here in the league this season. So I've got genuine hope that we can continue. It won't be easy. It'll be tough. We all know that. But that we can keep going in the cup. And really, it's the impetus we can take into this run of home games, 4 on the trot and 5 out the next 6, finishing with the Mackhams. So, it's give us a good feeling for that. Yes, I'm taking Qarabag out of it in a certain way because we know what that result's going to be. But the challenges to come, we haven't had a dent put in our army.
That's a very, very, very good point. Now, we do look forward to Qarabag. As I say, Newcastle 6-1 up. This is a landmark moment for Newcastle. It will be their 150th European fixture. Gibbo, you were there at the very first one.
I was.
against Feyenoord, a surprisingly comfortable win at St James's Park against one of the what did they used to call them, the crack European sides, weren't they? That's how it was described.
Oh, they were. They had a huge reputation, and in our naivety, we didn't fear anything. And by the way, we took that through the whole competition, right to winning it against Uzbekistan at the end. We didn't fear a thing, because we were naive and stupid not to fear anything. And it was off to a terrific start. And I'm the only journalist still working, and I don't know if that's a compliment or stupidity, but I'm the only journalist still working that has been there for the whole 150 in terms of covering Newcastle during this period. And it's been a fabulous period, and it started with a thumping win against Feyenoord, and let it be completed, the 150, with another thumping win against Qarabag.
Now, just for everyone watching or listening, we will have a special episode coming up looking back at Gibbo's top 10 Newcastle United European games. There are some crackers in there. I'm fairly certain some you'll be able to predict, some you'll be expecting in there, some brilliant nights at St James's Park and across the continent, but I'll leave that for another day, but it's worth keeping an eye out for that one. Just going into Tuesday night's game against Qarabag. Look, the tie is over and done with, as much as Eddie Howe suggested, isn't. So we now look at team selection, which we love discussing, don't we? But I feel as if there is an extra reason to discuss this time. Now, we loved seeing Sean Neave come off the bench in Baku, another academy product getting his game time. I was at the Under-21s game on Friday night, didn't expect him to be anywhere near that team, but he started for the Under-21s against Fulham and scored. Then came off at half-time, as did Leo Shahar, who travelled to Baku with the first-team squad, came back Thursday and then played 45 minutes on Friday. Now, that to me, and someone formerly of this parish, Chris Woff, we both suggested that this might well be an indicator that at very least they will get game time on Tuesday night. So my question to you is, because we spoke about needing something else top end of the pitch, because we spoke about Kieran Trippier needing a rest, could you see a scenario where Shahar and Neave start on Tuesday night?
I could, but I've got a feeling they won't. But they won't actually start. But certainly both of them won't. For Neave, for example, it'll all depend on Wissa. If Wissa is considered fit enough, they'll need him to get something in the tank, something in his legs to see how ready he is for Everton and the two Manchesters, which is to come. But I would fully expect to see them on the pitch on Tuesday night, and not for the last 3 minutes, for goodness sake, which is the usual thing with kids, but for a big chunk of the second half, to give them 20 minutes, half an hour to actually do it. I'm not ruling them out starting, particularly the right back, because there's nobody else, and Trips could do with the rest. My goodness, could he? So he's probably got more chance. Neave's chance will increase if Wissa's not ready. But I think that Asula will be played either through the middle or out wide on the left, because he needs game time. And if you think, if Asula is overlooked for Neave from Asula's point of view, I mean, is he going to throw a wobbler, or is he going to be taking German lessons immediately in readiness for his summer transfer to Eintracht Frankfurt? So there's competition for the centre forward. I would expect to see Neave at some time. Now, I hope for the kids' point of view that can happen. The fullback's got perhaps a better chance of starting, but honestly, if I had to put money on it, I would say would see them for a good chunk of the second half.
I do wonder if there may well be a situation where Eddie Howe may not put Shahar in straight away, and may try and possibly play Jacob Murphy at right back as kind of
I've thought of that one when you were talking about what the possibilities are. I mean, looking at it overall, which is interesting, from our point of view, I would think, and by the way, we really are guessing here, because it's hard to guess what Eddie's going to do when it's a league match. Guessing what he's going to do with the cards when you're 6-1 up, which means you've got a blank sheet of paper and you can almost do anything you want. Goodness, I tell you what, the odds will be as long on what getting Eddie's team right, 1 to 11, it is for Qarabag to win 6-0 and put us out. I mean, because it's just ain't going to happen. But I mean, I would think Ramsdale's got a very good chance of starting in goal. You look at the back, if Botman's fit, he will start for Chow, who is suspended. If he's not fit, I guess you've got to go Murphy because you haven't got an awful lot of other choice.
Yes.
We've talked about the right back situation. Midfield, for a start, I would rest Trips if I've got the chance. And we've talked about what might be done. It could be Murphy there. But I would rest Trips. I would rest Hall, who has played everything. And he plays at 200 miles an hour, doesn't he? And that's the biggest compliment I can give him. He puts so much work into every game. I would rest Penali.
The only issue with Hall would be if Alex Murphy plays at centre back. If Botman
he can't play left back.
He can't play left back, which probably means Hall has to play because there isn't really an option at left back.
Yeah, there is. He can't do everything he wants to do with the back four in particular. He's forced. He could have fielded an unchanged back four yet again, but he's forced into Chow situation, so you've got to hope that Botman's fit for that one. But yes, in an ideal world, you would rest Trips and you would rest Hall, but it's not an ideal world. You will rest Tonali because I think you can go midfield, Ramsey and Willock together with Joe Linton, who I think is an absolute knock-and bet to start because he's ready again. He's had a couple of sub-appearances. He needs a game. This is perfect for him. So I think Joe will start, and probably with Ramsey and Willock. And then you look up front, it depends on Wissa. If Wissa's fit, he starts. Usola I think, will start centre forward if Wissa's not fit. If he is fit, Usola could play left wing.
Yes. Yeah.
And Murphy will play right wing or right back. But he'll start. And then what does he do with the two kids we mentioned? That's the other thing. But it's going to be fascinating what he does with the team. He's almost got carte blanche to do anything he wants, hasn't he?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the point you make about Ramsdale is a very good one. This feels like a perfect opportunity to throw him in and see how he does. He has played in, obviously, the Carabao Cup. He's played in those games. He played in the FA Cup. But this feels like the perfect opportunity to give him a chance in the Champions League in a game where you'd imagine Newcastle will dictate the ball. So because of that, because he is so good on the ball, it kind of works on a number of levels for Eddie Howe.
It does. And again, you give Pope that rest and you encourage Ramsdale that, yes, you'll get some games. The interesting thing is if he does play, is he going to be tested? I mean, the way they've been, people talk, Mark, about what our team will be and what our attitude will be because we're 6-1 up, etc., etc. I tend to flip it on its head and says, what's the attitude of Qarabag going to be? Yeah. I mean, they're coming here 6-1 down. They've got stuffed on their own pitch in front of their own fans. When they come here, are they going to be terrified? Are they going to play for a 0-0? Are they going to play for their pride? Or are they going to be worried about humiliation? Are they going to have a real go at it? Are they going to be apprehensive? The way they approach it will have an awful lot to do with what happens, because while we talk about how we will approach it, if you put yourself in their position, they've lost 6-1 at home in front of their own fans. They're coming to a Premier League club. The last time they did that, they leaked 6 at Liverpool. Yeah. So what's their approach going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I've thought about that since the first leg, and I'd imagine their coaches saying, go out there and try and win the second leg, salvage some pride.
Yeah, they've got to look at it like it's 0-0, haven't they? They've got to look at it's a 0-0 match, if you like.
And their record in England or against English opposition isn't great. So it would be, there is history to be made for them as well, for Qarabag. They can come and get their first win against English opposition on English soil. So there is a carrot for them. And I think they will see that as a big motivation.
Yeah, they will. They won in Benfica away. But I think, you know what, if you look at their results, Mark, they started off in the Champions League well. That's the good results were early.
Yeah.
And if rather fell off the log in the second half of that competition, down the river on the log, keeping your feet going, and then all of a sudden you're in the water. And I think they've reached that stage. I mean, for them to get a result at Newcastle, I mean, it's got to be the equivalent of Devon Lock. And for those, including you, certainly not old enough to know too much about Devon Lock, very famous racehorse with a very famous jockey and a famous owner, went all the way around the Grand National course twice, jumped every hurdle brilliantly, then on the home straight with no hurdles left, collapsed. And I mean, it was sensational. And to this day, it's why did he try to take a phantom hurdle or whatever? I mean, Newcastle would have to do a Devon Lock for Qarabag to get in. And even, I mean, Qarabag winning 1-0, they're out. But they won't win 1-0. I mean, Eddie won't let them win 1-0. If they're winning 1-0, then the big guns who will be on the bench, presumably, the people that are rested, Barnes and Walter might be rested apart from Tenali and Trips. They would come, if we are losing at home, they would come on.
Yeah.
Just to turn the results. So, it's like climbing. I've always said climbing Everest in sand-shoes, but it's like climbing Everest barefoot, this. It really is. I mean, take a bold man from Azerbaijan, from Baku, to forecast a Qarabag win, won't it?
It would. Devon Lock, by the way, was famously referenced by Sir Alex Ferguson during a title race with Arsenal, I think it was, or maybe in Blackburn, one of the two. Yeah. I'm going to flip the whole resting players on its head a little bit for you and ask a question of Anthony Gordon. Now, his goal scoring record in the Champions League is outstanding this season. There's only Kylian Mbappe who scored more goals than him in this season's competition. If you're Anthony Gordon, do you want to be rested?
No, you want to. If you're Anthony Gordon, you want to play. If you're Eddie Howe, you do as you're told. And if I was Eddie Howe, I wouldn't play him because ridiculous, but he can get an injury. He's playing now and a half. If he gets an injury, what do we do against Everton and the two Manchesters? I mean, he'll want to play. He's got 10 goals. He scored more than Haaland has in the Champions League this season. He's got Shearer's record already in his back pocket for the number of Champions League goals in a single season. He is in Newcastle's top list of top all-time European record goal scorers. Yes, nothing like Shearer's got 30. Next is 15 Shola, I think, and he's got 10. But he's still there. And this is a guy that a few weeks ago couldn't hit a Ballon d'Or in the Premier League. So there's a part of him will really want to play in this. I'd be staggered if I think he is the answer to our centre-forward problem until the summer mark. I think he's the answer to our centre-forward problem for the rest of the season in the Premier League, in the Champions League, and in the FA Cup, because he is better at doing that job than Volta with a lack of pace and a lack of pressing, than Wissa and Asula. So he is our centre-forward for the rest of the season. Then all sorts can happen in the summer. But if that's the case, you don't play him in this because, yes, he wants to chase goals, like he wouldn't give the ball to Voldemort for the penalty. I was all with him on that, but I wouldn't start him here. No. I really wouldn't start him here because it would be fool. Can you imagine that the questions Eddie Howe would face in the press conference afterwards if he started him here and he went off with a hamstring?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I guess a little bit more general as well, because Newcastle have got so many games left between now and the end of the season. Still in the FA Cup, still pushing for a top 7 place in the Premier League, are all but guaranteed to have at least another 2 Champions League games. To me, although people think tomorrow night is over, the tie is over, and it absolutely is, to me, it feels as if it's a big game for the squad players where we know how big Eddie Howe is on trust in players. So he's going to trust them to go and do a job, and they have to do it. So you like see your Jacob Ramseys, your Joe Willocks, your Jacob Murphys, the young lads as well, Neave and Shahar, they've got a big opportunity lying ahead of them to earn some trust here from Eddie Howe.
Yeah, it's a big game for them rather than a big game for us. And I'm not sure Eddie trusts them. I think Eddie only trusts them because he's 6-1 up. If it had been level scores or would been a goal behind, would we have seen the two kids? Would we have seen Ramsdale in goal? No, we wouldn't. But you're exactly right what you say, Mark. I don't think Eddie. I think Eddie gives trust very grudgingly, and once you've got his trust, he adores you, and you can almost do no wrong. And in fairness of the names you mentioned, Murphy's got that trust of him. He loves Murphy. He's put him in the leadership group. He adores him. He's going to be okay here. I think he'll play in this game without a shadow of a doubt, but he does trust him. But trust is given slowly. Opportunities are given slowly. But once you've got that trust, you've got it for life because he sticks with you and he loves you for it. But there's players that need to do something in these games. Like Asula needs to make an impression on this game. If the kids come in, Willock needs to make an impression. Ramsey, who's improving game by game, and I thought did well against Man City and lasted the whole 90 minutes against Man City. He needs to confirm that he's still going on to this extra level. Joe Linton needs a game for a totally different reason, to get fit again, to show his fitness, to last 90 minutes, having not had 90 minutes for yonks. So there is a lot at stake for every individual, apart from the Burns and the people that are likely to be still in there, whose reputation is 100%. I mean, if possible, Barnes has looked as if he's needed a rest recently, and I would give him a rest, and I would give Voldemar a rest, having done his 3 sessions in midfield and done very good in the first couple, averagely so against Man City, who's wonderful in midfield. But I would give him a rest because my midfield 3 would be Ramsey, Willock and Joe Linton tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'd agree. If Newcastle do need a carrot or extra motivation or whatever you want to call it, there is a little bit of club history that could be made, which is that they are looking to rack up the biggest ever aggregate win that they've had. That was set in 1994 with a memorable tie against Royal Antwerp, a 5-0 win in Belgium in the UEFA Cup, followed by a 5-2 win at St. James.
10-2 on aggregate, yes. And really, that's well within there because it's 6-1 now. So a 4-1 would make it exactly the same as that. But they can easily beat, if they want to, they can beat that. Yeah. It's how much Eddie puts a team out to score more than 10 over the 2 legs, and how much the lads attempt to do it, as opposed to get the deck chairs and the cigars out. But it is you're right, Mark, that is there to be beaten. I don't know how much of an incentive that is. I think it's a byproduct. I don't think the players think about it, or I don't think it's the motivational speech from Eddie, come on and beat the 10 that Kevin Keegan got.
It's just me being a stats geek.
It's a great point, and I already knew about that 10-2 because I've been researching the European thing we are going to do, and of course that was quite sensational, and it was KK's entertainers, and Eddie loves matching or challenging them because he holds them up in great regard.
He does.
So it is a very good point. And really, we're all looking at things like that because what else is there to look for in this game? Yeah. It's so copper-bottomed. I mean, it's not live on telly, on mainstream telly, TNT, I think so, because it's a foregone conclusion. So you're looking at little points. You're looking and saying, will Neave play and will he score? Will the lad play at right back? Can somebody else get 4 like Gordon? You're looking for little angles to keep the game alive in your mind, because getting through to the last 16, I mean, I don't mind or care what Eddie says. We're nowhere in the last 16 now. we have to fall off the end of the world not to be. And I know that's possible, but it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, I have to say a special thank you to our sponsors, NordVPN. Hit the link in the podcast description box to get a discounted offer on your NordVPN plan. One subscription can be used across 10 devices, and there's no risk with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get the exclusive discount on the plan by clicking at nordvpn.com/tune. Just want to round off, and I realize we're going to speak about this in the special episode, but racking up 150 games in Europe is a big achievement for Newcastle. And as Bob Moncur said in those early days, they went in through the back door, but they came out through the front door in the Fairs Cup. You have seen it all. It feels like, even though the game is done and all that, and I get that, it does feel like a special landmark for the club to hit.
Oh, I mean, 150 is a big, big landmark for a club like Newcastle United, who have not down the years been regulars in the Champions League or indeed in Europe, like, say, Liverpool and Manchester United of old and Man City of now, etc. We haven't been doing it like that. So 150 split between all the competitions they've played in is a terrific landmark. And we ought to be proud of it. And let's, as I say, we started with a 4-0. Feyenoord, we could finish with the same score in this one game. I meant not the aggregate. Or a lot more if we wanted to be a lot more. But let's finish with a big plus. It's been a wonderful journey. We've won our first European trophy during that spell. Right at the beginning, as it incredibly happened, but there's been other magic moments throughout the whole thing. And it's been a great run. And what we know is at least this season alone, we've got 2 more matches, and maybe more than that. Let's hope so. So, Anthony, just keep your shooting boots on. You can add to your 10, mate, over the next 2 games, but behave yourself tonight. Sit there up in the stand and be a good boy. We need you for the rest of the season.
And we shouldn't forget that glorious Intertoto Cup triumph as well. Let's not underplay that. That was a big moment. Many thanks, Gibbo, for a great preview of what should be an interesting night at St James's Park. Eddie Howe's team selection, as you say, possibly the most interesting aspect of the night. I'll be back on Wednesday morning with a look back at the events at St James's Park with Lee Ryder. Gibbo will be back later in the week to preview the weekend game against Everton, and we'll also be recording that top 10 of Gibbo's European games as Newcastle United celebrate 150 European ties. If you can get your ideas in for what may make the list, what would make your own personal lists as well, that would be a nice little one if you want to send in some messages to read out when me and Gibbo record. But enjoy tomorrow night's game. Let's hope it's another memorable night at St James's Park as Newcastle United rack up 150 appearances in